In previous videos, we've discussed both simple and compound gear systems, and in this video we're going to discuss something called epicyclic gears, which are also known as planetary gears. So we'll begin with a quick recap of simple and compound gear systems, and then we'll look at the operation of our epicyclic gear system. We're going to discuss some of the benefits of that type of system, and then we're going to look at a particular application in a wind turbine's drivetrain. So to begin, let's look at our simple and compound gear systems. Now, in a simple gear system, we have one set of gear teeth meshing with another set of gear teeth, as shown in the diagram. And we had a very simple way of calculating the gear ratio based on the number of teeth on the input gear and the number of teeth on the output gear. And that gear ratio was calculated by doing output teeth over input teeth. We then introduced another example of a simple gear system, except we introduced a third gear known as an idler gear. And one of the observations we made was that the idler doesn't affect the gear ratio, all it affects is the direction of travel of the output gear. So once again, our calculation for the gear ratio was the number of teeth on the output over the number of teeth on the input. So in the diagram that we see there, our calculation would be TC over TA. We mentioned that the introduction of a second idler gear wouldn't affect that gear ratio, all it would affect is the direction of travel of the output shaft. Next we moved on to look at our compound gear systems. And in a compound gear system, we would have more than one gear fixed together or attached on the same shaft. So we see in this example, we have our input A and we have our output D. But we have a compound gear B/C, where B and C are two gears attached to the same shaft. Now the important thing here is that B and C will have the same rotational speed, even though they don't have the same number of teeth. And we can use compound gear systems to obtain higher gear ratios. Our formula for gear ratio in this case was the product of the teeth on the driven gears over the product of the teeth on the driver gears. So here we have two driven gears, B and D. B and D are being driven by A and C. So our gear ratio is TB times TD divided by TA times TC. We can look at another example, this time with two compound gears, BC and DE. And here we can see that our driven gears are B, D and F, and our drivers, shown in the lighter grey, are A, C and E. The drivers drive the driven. Our formula still holds true, the product of the driven gears over the product of the driver gears. So on the top we have TB times TD times TF, and on the bottom we have TA times TC times TE. So this leads us on nicely to epicyclic gear systems and the way that they operate. So here we have an epicyclic gear system, and what we see here is we have an input shaft which rotates, and that input shaft is attached to what we call the sun gear in the centre. So we have the sun gear in the centre, and in contact with the sun gear we have these three planetary gears. Now the planetary gears are connected to this holder or this carrier which holds those three planet gears, and attached to that we have our output shaft. Now the other gear that we have here is called the gear ring or the ring gear, and in the case of this particular planetary gearbox we can see that that's fixed in place. So once again we have our input shaft connected to a sun gear, the sun gear in contact with the planet gears mounted on this carrier, and on that carrier we have our output shaft or another output gear. Now one thing you'll notice here is that the input shaft is rotating much more quickly than the output shaft. So we have a relatively high gear ratio here, and that gear ratio can be affected by the size of the gear ring, the size of the planet gears, the size of the sun gears. So what we have here is something that's very versatile. The other thing that we know in this situation is the gear ring's fixed and the planet gears are rotating. We could have another scenario where the planet gears were fixed and this holder or this carrier was fixed, but the ring gear was free to rotate. So what we have is a lot of different options within this planetary gearbox or within this epicyclic gearbox to achieve very high gear ratios. Let's take a look at another image. So once again here we see our different gears. We have the sun gear in the centre, which in the animation was attached to our input. We have our planet gears rotating around the outside, and then we have our gear ring or our ring gear. Now as we look at the configuration here, we can see that the input this time is connected to the holder that's attached to our planet gears. Now if we had this scenario and then the ring gear was free to rotate, then once again we would have a very high gear ratio. The input speed into this gearbox would be very, very high in comparison to the output speed. And hopefully you can visualise that this ring gear on the outside would creep round in comparison to the speed of the inlet. So the calculation of gear ratios for epicyclic gears can be very complex because it's largely dependent on which components are rotating, which components are fixed, and which way round the gearbox is being used. So if we return to our animation, as an example, we said the shaft at the bottom was the input and the shaft at the top was the output, but if you imagine it in the opposite bias, then we could have our input shaft connected to this gear and our output shaft connected to this gear. That would mean a very slow input speed was achieving a very high output speed, and we'll use that as an example in the case of a wind turbine gearbox in a moment. But before we look at an example, let's discuss some of the benefits. Now, as we've already mentioned, epicyclic gears can achieve very high gear ratios, and it's all dependent on what's fixed, what's moving, as well as the ratios of teeth on sun gears and planet gears and so on. Now, another advantage is that we have multiple contact points, and I'll just explain what I mean by that. If we imagine our input transmitting a torque to our output, then at any given moment, 3 gear teeth between the planet gears and the ring gear are in contact with each other. And we also have 3 contact points between the planet gears and the sun gear in the centre. Now, if we contrast that with the simple gear train or the compound gear train, in those two systems, we would only ever have 1 gear tooth in contact at any given time. And there's a number of different benefits of that. First of all, we have a balanced system. This system here is much less likely to vibrate because all of the stresses are evenly balanced and evenly distributed. So by having a balanced system, we can reduce vibration, we can reduce wear, and we can improve the efficiency of the system as a whole. Now, another benefit is this compact design. What we see here is a single stage planetary gearbox or a single stage epicyclic gearbox. But what we could do is have the output act as the input for another planetary stage. Or we could have the output connected to a compound gear system. So we can achieve very high gear ratios, but with a very compact design. So let's see how that works in a wind turbines gearbox. So here we have a basic image, and I want you to imagine that on the left-hand side we have the rotor, and the rotor in this case is going to be connected to our ring gear. Now the reason why is because the rotor spins very slowly. Typically a wind turbine rotor may only spin at 15 RPM. Now in order to generate electricity, we need our high-speed shaft to rotate above 1500 RPM. So if we have 15 RPM at the input, and we need 1500 RPM at the output, we need a gear ratio of 100, or 1 over 100 to be accurate. So here we have a slow turning ring gear, but we're going to have a very fast turning sun gear here in the centre. So here we have a very fast turning sun gear connected to another gear. So here we have a compound gear or a compound shaft, and that again is attached to another stage, which is labelled here as the intermediate shaft speed stage. That intermediate shaft is then connected to our high speed shaft. So at each stage in this process, we're stepping up the gear ratio. We already have a high speed sun gear in relation to the ring gear, and then we're going through these additional stages to increase the speed further. Here we have another diagram from a slightly different angle. We see that our ring gear is free to rotate. As our ring gear rotates, because our planet gears are fixed in spot, our sun gear is going to rotate. Our sun gear is going to rotate this shaft, which is going to rotate the other components in the system. So as a quick summary, in this video we've taken what we already knew about simple and compound gear systems and we've applied those principles to an epicyclic or a planetary gear system. We've discussed some of the benefits of this type of system, and finally we've looked at how that's used in the drivetrain of a wind turbine in order to give very high speed ratios between the input speed of our rotor and the output speed of our high speed shaft.